Beware the Tenant from Hell, based on a true story. For those asking about the saga of my rental property, here's the full story. It's a real-life horror tale that has permanently soured me on the idea of being a landlord. Let this serve as a cautionary tale for anyone thinking about getting into real estate. 1. The insurance debacle. Yes, the property was fully insured. I made sure to cross every T and dot every I. However, what they don't tell you is that arson, the intentional destruction of your property, voids just about every insurance policy out there. To make matters worse, the tenant's required renter's insurance also denied the claim on the same grounds. So here I am, holding a 6-figure bill for a property that's now more charcoal than wood. 2. A history that didn't show up. I did everything by the book. A thorough background check, employment verification, and a clean rental history, or so I thought. What I didn't know was that this tenant had burned his previous rental to the ground just 1 week before moving in. It hadn't hit the databases yet, so it slipped under the radar. Even worse, he had a criminal record in California that didn't show up on the Arizona background check. The tenant paid the 6-month lease in cash up front, which seemed suspicious, but I figured, hey, money is money. I didn't return a cent of his deposit after everything went up in flames. I'd be more inclined to hand over monopoly money than give him back a dime. 3. A legal nightmare. I'm suing the tenant's co-signer, his father, since the tenant himself is broke and now officially homeless. The legal process has been slow and draining, and my lawyer warned me that even if I win, collecting the money could take years. Meanwhile, my savings are tied up in repair costs and legal fees. It feels like a game of financial whack-a-mole, except every time I hit one problem, 2 more pop up. 4. Drug den discovery. 2 days after the fire, the tenant was arrested for drug possession. When we entered the property for cleanup, it felt like stepping into a scene from Breaking Bad. We found meth, crack pipes, needles, Narcan, and pills I couldn't even identify. There were also signs that this wasn't just a one-person operation. Multiple backpacks, makeshift sleeping arrangements, and even a half-finished lab setup in the garage. 5. The authorities let us down. Before the fire, I'd received multiple complaints from neighbours about strange activity at the house. People coming and going at all hours, loud arguments and shady-looking deals in the driveway. I called the police multiple times, but nothing ever came of it. I was told they were monitoring the situation, but it was clear they didn't consider it a priority. Even after the fire, the investigation felt lackluster. The arson report was conclusive, 3 separate fire points with accelerants, but the tenant likely won't face serious charges. It's infuriating to watch the system fail to hold him accountable. 6. The timing was no coincidence. The fire broke out just 2 days after I informed the tenant his lease wouldn't be renewed. Coincidence? I think not. Investigators found 3 distinct fire starting points. In the large guest room closet, where clothes were soaked in an accelerant. In the fireplace, stuffed with more clothing and lit. In the kitchen, where a pot full of some unknown flammable liquid had been ignited. Thankfully, the fire department is only a block away. They arrived quickly, and while the guest room and hallway were destroyed, the living room and kitchen were spared. Had they been slower, the entire structure might have been reduced to ash. 7. An overcrowded disaster neighbours later revealed that up to 6 people had been living in the house. During cleanup, we found children's furniture, clothing, and decorations. Children's shoes were scattered throughout the property. Mail addressed to at least 4 different individuals was piled up in the kitchen. During monthly inspections, required by law with 48 hours notice, the house always appeared spotless and the tenant was always alone. Clearly, he'd used those 48 hours to clear everyone out before I arrived. I have no idea how many people were actually living there at any given time, but it was far from a one-person operation. 8. Post-fire madness. After the fire, while we were cleaning up, drug addicts and homeless people repeatedly walked into the house uninvited. It happened 4 times. They'd stroll in like it was their personal hangout, even while we were working. One of them had the audacity to ask if we were done with the fridge. The cherry on top? The tenant himself showed up trying to get back inside. He claimed he needed to grab a few things, but we all knew better. Thankfully, I wasn't alone. My neighbour Craig and a family friend Joe were with me. We turned him away, but the tension was palpable. 9. A final farewell. The house has since been repaired and is back on the market. I've salvaged what furniture and sentimental items I could, but I've made the decision to leave Arizona behind. The place feels different now. Heavy, oppressive, like there's a dark cloud hanging over it. I won't keep the house as a vacation property, and if it doesn't sell, I'll likely let it sit until the market improves. Either way, I'm done with being a landlord. My money will be better invested in the stock market, where at least I can sleep at night. 10. Lessons learned. This experience has been a wake-up call. Even with all the safeguards in place, there are risks you simply can't foresee. If you're considering renting out a property, remember, not everything shows up in a background check, and not every tenant is who they appear to be. As for me, I'm back home in California, where life is slowly returning to normal. But I'll carry this experience with me forever, along with a newfound respect for the chaos that a single bad tenant can unleash. Thanks for listening, and stay vigilant.